longest parsha in the Torah, 106 psukim. Interesting. An interesting fact that the longest parsha in the Torah has 186 psukim. The longest parak in Tehillim has 186 psukim. The longest Masechet Shas has 186. Wow, I can't have anything to say about that. There are a lot of things in the parsha. We're not going to discuss most of them. We're going to discuss two things. One is a fascinating brisa that I always enjoyed reading, trying to understand. Tanya, we learned in a brisa. I remember Rabbi Shimon HaTzadik. You remember Rabbi Shimon HaTzadik? You have in the beginning of Pirkei Avos. The Shimon HaTzadik was a Kohen Gadol. At the end of the Anshe Gadol. He's the one who met Alexander when Alexander was going to put his image in the base of English. Anyway, great tzaddik, Rabbi Shimon HaTzadik. So he says, "Miyomai achalti miyasham nazir." I never ate from the asham, the korban asham of a nazir. Never ate from a nazir. I'll try to explain later why he never ate, but never eat from the korban of a nazir. It's in Pamachas. Pamachas I ate. Bo Adam Echad, a certain man came. Nazir is a Nazir, in a Dharm, came to the south of the country. Raisi, I saw him. Shu Yafei Naim V'Tov Roi Luxusos Kedaris El Losov. I said, a really handsome guy. He had beautiful hair, curly hair, beautiful hair. Amarti Lo, I said to him, B'ni, my son, why you want to destroy your beautiful hair? Why are you doing this for? So Amarli, he said to me, I was a shepherd for my father in my city. And I wanted to fill up water from the well. And I looked in the well, and I saw my face. I said, and the Yitzhak came over me. Right? I was a handsome guy. I didn't realize how handsome I was. A good-looking guy, beautiful hair. Pachas al Yitzri. Yitzhak took over me. He wanted to take me out of this world. I'm such a good-looking guy. Let me do something. Amarti lo. So I said to Yitzhak, Russia. You're a Russia. Why are you enjoying a world that's not really yours? I'm going to end up being a worm. Being a rim of a toleo. Avoda, it's an ether, avoda by Hashem. I'm going to cut my hair off Hashem Shemayim. That's what happened. Miyad amadati. So Shimon HaTzadik hears this. And I got up. Nishkati al Rosh, and I kissed him on his forehead. Amarti lo, and he said to him, B'ni, kamochi yirbu nizarim Yisrael. There should be more Nazirim like you. That's the story. Think about it a little bit. It's a very interesting story. He would never eat the Osham of a Nazir. Why not? I think the Pshat is because he was afraid that the guy's really a fake. I want to be holy. I'm going to be a holy guy. I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to drink wine. I'm not going to cut my hair. I'm going to be a holy guy. I'm going to be holy. You really want to be holy? You're such a guy. You're a fake. And if you're a fake, it's not really an Osham. It's in the Gemara does say in the Dharm, look it up. It was kosher that it would be chulin bazara. It wouldn't be a real carbon. It would be chulin in bazara, chulin in the Makam Hamikdash. I always thought, what was the exception over here? What was this? The Ishmael Adarim, the man from the south. What was he? He had a problem. He saw that I have a Yetzirah in a certain area. I realized I was zeroing in on one thing. I don't want to be holy. I'm not trying to be a holy guy. That's not what I want to do. I realized that I'm going to have a Yetzirah. If I look like this, if I look so handsome, and my handsomeness will carry me away, I'm going to get rid of that. Get rid of what's going to create the Aveira. Tremendous lesson for us. And the guy, you want to be holy, I daven and I learn, I'm going to be a great guy. Are you real? Is that real? Is that real? Are you a real person? Are you saying something that's real? I want to be holy. I want to be a good guy. Are you really a good guy? When you make an example movement, they say, I know I'm doing this wrong, I'm going to stop doing this. I know I have a problem in this area. That makes you holy. Right? I knew my hair was a problem for this guy that had hair, so I was a handsome guy. So I know there was a problem. If you don't zero in on what's holding you back, the fact that we say that I want to be holy, I want to be a good guy, and I pretend to do it, who says you're not faking? Who says it's not real? Who says it's real? When you say, I have this problem, and I know I have a problem, Give you a stupid example. I want to be holy. I want to daven all the time. Yeah, you come and daven every day. Come on time. No, I don't bother with that. If you don't bother with that, you don't try to change that. You're not moving on that. Then you're just faking yourself out. The guy who says I'm going to set an alarm clock and make sure I get up and go, the room is pour water on my head. You're making a movement. That's what the Nazir Minadorim did. The Nazir Minadorim made a movement. I'm going to cut this hair off L'Shem Shema. I'm going to be totally bald. And the Yetzer won't get me at that point. What you got to do, you have to make that move. You don't have to move. All the things that we say, all the things we mumble, not real. It could be fake. For Yolam, I never ate from the Nazir's Asham. As we said, I never ate from one. I'm not sure there were a lot of Nazirim. I never ate one. One time I made an exception because I saw that he was real. Because I had a problem. My hair was a problem. I'm going to cut it off L'Shem Shemayim. I don't want to be holy. I want to kill that Yitzhar. But I'm doing something to do it. I'm not just saying it. I'm doing something. Think about that. How many times in our minds we think we're a good guy, we're doing something. What do we do exactly? What specific thing did I accomplish myself to do to really change? I picked something, I'm really going to change it. I'm really going to be that person. I do something and you make a movement. You make a Kabbalah, a real Kabbalah. A real Kabbalah means I accept upon myself to do certain things and I do it. It's a very important idea. It happens to be it's Gemara, it's also in the Yalkut Shmoni. There's another thing that I read every year in this parasha, Yalkut Shmoni. And I say over the story, and I can say over, I heard many, many years ago. And a Pasha thing that he said, Rabbi Shechek, when I was working in Chavetz Chaim, Rabbi Shechek said Rabbi Pasha Shad this Medrash. It's very Pasha, but I never thought about it, but since I heard it, I share it all the time. Maisa, story. Vishnei Achayos, Shadom is Domazan. Two sisters, they look very similar. Maybe they're twins. Doesn't say they were twins, but they look very similar. One was married, lived in a certain city. Another was married in a different city. And one of these two women, husband suspected her of doing the improper things. They said, "I want to bring you to Yerushalayim. You'll drink from the bitter waters." She went to see her sister, the Suisham. Her sister said, why'd you come to visit me? She said, my husband wants to make a drink of bitter waters, and I'm a little nervous about it. So the other sister said, you know what, I'll go instead of you, and I'll drink. Amrlo, Lichi, okay, great. Love Shah Big Day Achoso, she took her sister's clothes. And she went instead of her. She drank the bitter waters. And she was tar. He goes back to see his sister. She runs out with him. She says, Baruch Hashem, you're good. She gave her a hug and a kiss. She kissed her, right? She had still the bitter waters on her lips. And she died immediately. Okay? A very interesting story. So Rosh Hashanah pointed out. So the Maimar is the Ramban says clearly that in the whole Torah you have no mitzvah that involves any tricks. Every mitzvah is very clear. There's one mitzvah that's an exception to the entire Torah. It's a trick. Someone can do a trick over here. If you did something improper with another man, the Maimar will check you out. The only thing you have no other such mitzvah in the entire Torah. Usually we need to aid them, and there's the Bezdin. And one time there's this magical trick that the Bezdin that a Kohen can do. Give her the waters, and they'll check her out. And you know what? It's just as easy to say. It's not a real thing. It's maybe to get the woman to admit something. It's not a real thing. You don't have to believe it. This woman believed it. She believed that the Maimar would work. 100%. There must be Hashem who could do this tremendous power. They could check out someone who did something illegitimate with another man, and Hashem could check it out through the Maimar. She believed it. So she sent her sister. Hashem is so great. He's so unbelievable. He can do this trick. But you know what? I'm smart enough to trick. I can trick Hashem. That's what she's done. I'm smart enough to trick Hashem. That's what this woman thought this. Guess what? She wasn't smart enough to trick Hashem. But we do this all the time. I believe in Hashem. I believe He's great. But I have my own way. I'm a little, I can figure out what to do, how to manage. Hashem's going to get His way in the end. The two sisters will kiss, and the little water that's left on the sister's lip will kill you. Hashem is smarter than all of us. We think we're smart. We think we can. I'll do something. I'll rationalize. It won't be so bad. It's not such a big deal. Hashem will realize that where I'm coming from. Hashem is smarter than you think. Hashem knows much more than you think. You can't just fool Hashem. So the message of this story is a very important message. And in human psychology, you can really believe in Hashem and believe in His great power, and at the same time think you're smart enough to get away with stuff. We all do it. And what part of what we have to do is realize Hashem undersees me, and He understands me, and He knows me. And I always say, we always have a bunch of excuses. They're excuses, they're not really reasons. And one day we're going to have to answer at Hashem. I always Aryeh Kaplan's marshal of naked before God. Naked before Hashem sees right through you. There's nothing to cover yourself with. He sees, you tell a rabbi any story you want. You tell your parents any story you want. I wasn't really this, was that, and most of the time we believe you. But Hashem, you can't tell him any story you want. Hashem sees right through you. And Hashem is able to get His way. And our job is to realize that. And we shouldn't fake ourselves out and say it's not a big deal. It's no, Hashem sees right in the emes, and we have to admit to ourselves to the emes. And this sister thought that she's smart enough to trick Hashem. I'll send my sister instead. Great trick. Everybody thinks that she did, right? But she didn't trick Hashem. And the truth is that if Hashem didn't want to do it through His sister kissing her lips, who knows what He could have done, right? We're not going to go into all the possibilities that Hashem has. But part of our job, part of our avodah, has to be to realize who we really are, to admit to ourselves we have a way to go, and to try to get there. To learn, and the Gemara says an interesting thing. And Rav Shmulevitz speaks about this. Tying the two things together. He says, why is Nazir after Sota? Because the Gemara says that if you see a Sota, what happens with Sota, it's a very degrading procedure. Even if she's tahar, it's still a degrading procedure. Or she wasn't exactly a tzaddikas, right? She was in yipur with another man, so she didn't do anything legitimate. But it's a very degrading procedure. So the Gemara says if you see a Sota, when they bring you to the Bezdin, you'll be nadir atzmi in my mind and say, I better not get drunk. Rav Shmulevitz says there's a lesson over that we're learning over here. That we have to protect ourselves. We're very vulnerable. It's easy for us to stumble on the wrong thing. So we each have to protect ourselves and say, I have to stay away from the wrong thing far enough. And Mesil Sharm says this many times. And I always say a pashal mashal, right? There's more of a chance that we'll do something wrong if you hang out on Ben Yehuda Street at 11 o'clock at night than if you sit in the basement at 11 o'clock at night. More of a chance, right? And the Mesil Sharm says clearly, when the Avera is there and we're close to it, it's very hard to stop. So you gotta be like what we just said here. If I see the Sota, way before I'm doing the Avera, I have to psych myself into, I'm not going to get to that close to the Avera. Part of our job is to keep away from things that are problematic. Stay away from those things. He always is. The guy who has a problem, he likes cheeseburgers, you shouldn't walk by and smell McDonald's every day. It's not going to do. Stay away from anything that's problematic. Stay away from things that are problematic. And that's part of the way we're successful in our ruchnius is imamish three lessons over here that we learned. Lesson number one is do something active, right? Don't just say, what you want to be. I want to be a Nazir. I want to be a good guy. Do something. You know why I want to be a Nazir? Because my hair is a problem. I know what the problem is. I'm going to shave my head. L'shem Shemayim. Make a step. Make a real step. Do something real. It's a very important thing. The first thing we do in our personal ruch is to grow, to make ourselves better, is to make real Kabbalahs that are real. Not just, I want to be a holy guy. I want to, not a Kabbalah, I want to be a holy guy. I'm going to learn, I want to learn. You want to learn? Learn. But I can't, what am I going to do? Learn 5 minutes more than you would have. 5 minutes, learn more than you would have. Don't learn 5 hours more. 5 minutes. Do something real, right? I'm gonna daven every day. Daven every day. Let's see you daven every day, right? Make sure you do it. Make sure you set an alarm. Make sure I'm gonna come on time. Make sure you do it, come on time. Make sure you're gonna do something. The general thing, I want to daven. I want to do something real. Be like this Nazir, right? Shimon Tzaddik. Shimon Tzaddik was a great tzaddik. He understood the problems with most of his with Nazir most of the time. Wasn't a real person. Wasn't a real thing they did. This guy was real. Because he said, I have a problem, I'm going to take care of the problem. He realized that. Take the Mussar from the story. Take the Mussar from the other story. That I can't trick Hashem. Hashem sees right through me. He sees who I am. He knows who I am. And the third Mussar, the Shmooze says, when you see there's a problem, stay away from the problem. You're right. I see the sota. Right away I say, I'm going to stay away from getting too drunk because I don't want to get into trouble. Stay away from any things that are problematic. If you really do something real, you'll grow in your ruchnius. If you just talk about it, you just talk about it. You talk about learning. Don't talk about learning. Learn. Don't talk about doing it. Do something real. Don't just. I want to be that guy. Be that person on some level. A little bit, make one step, do something real. Right? You can talk about all you want, and you can all the ashkafas, all the things. When you make the real step in the right direction, that's real. So we make the real step in the right direction, we're not a fake. It's coming up right now as the Shki approaches to the Shlosh Yom Hagbolah. It's interesting that Shlosh Yom Hagbolah, the time of Kabbalah Satara, 3,300 years ago. But every year there's Shlosh Yom Hagbolah again. We call it Shlosh Yom Hagbolah. In fact, it's interesting halacha that we don't say Tachniyas today, and we don't say Shalom Shlosh Yom Hagbolah. And today, it's cut up in the middle, so we don't say Tachniyas today, it's called Yom HaMiyuchas. But really, the Shlosh Yom Hagbolah is a real time of preparation for Kabbalah Satara. Because Shavuos is a time of Kabbalah Satara. It's not a one-time event that happened 3,000 years ago. We have a Kabbalah Satara, Motzi Shabbos is a real Kabbalah Satara. That's why I have a meaning to learn, because we really want to be Kabbalah Satara. It's a real thing. We got to prepare ourselves. We got to. You can't just jump into it. I got to be ready for it. Just an interesting thing. We'll sum up it quickly. But we're going to throw this interesting sefer on the whole year, and he says an interesting thing about these days. These days are at the end of the sphere, and then he mentions that it's a very important idea. The Barbanel says an interesting halacha. Is the carbon that we bring, the entire sphere is the carbon of Omer. Carbon of Omer was barley. Chazal say barley is Michael Behema. It's animal food. Most people don't eat barley, they eat wheat, they don't eat barley. Right? It's animal food. But on Shmooze, you bring a carbon of Shnei Lechem. Why did you change? He says, because we left Mitzrayim, we were more like a Behema. And Shmooze, we bring a Shnei Lechem. That's where they wheat, refined us from solids, refined wheat. Then we're more of a person. Are we ready to change ourselves? And that's what sphere is all about. Am I bringing myself closer and closer to the Rebbeinu Shalom to do it? I'll close with a thing that I said before, but it's okay to this. Famous Orach Chaim, that I quote every year when we practice Yisrael. Orach Chaim HaKadosh says, the pasuk says, "Vayisam Yerfidim, Yicholav B'Midbar, Yikun Shom Takas Har." So the Orach Chaim says the whole pasuk is redundant. He says the pasuk is not telling you any history here. It's telling you 3 prerequisites for Kabbalah Satara. It's really no gate to what he said. The first thing is the Yisum Refidim. Refidim is Rifin Yadayim, certain laziness. So the first thing you do in the Kabbalah Satara is you got to stop being lazy. That's what we just spoke about. You got to do something real. How do I stop being lazy? To do something real. I mentioned learn something real might be learned for 5 minutes or 15 minutes. Just do something real, but learn it. Don't say I want to learn how to build it. Learn, sit down and learn for 5 minutes. Not 5 hours, 5 minutes. So do something real. Show you want to overcome your laziness. The second thing is, which really has to do with the other 2 things I spoke about, Midbar is, where it says, Eino Torah Nixon Mishnah Midbar. The person is not really called a Torah unless he makes it like a midbar. Everybody trambles through the midbar never complains. You meet those tovos. Those tovos. Do I have good midos? Do I have patience for my friends? Am I doing the right thing? Meet those tovos. The second prerequisite of Kabbalah Torah is meet those tovos. I want to try to be that person. I want to be that person. A little bit better. I want to be a little bit more nicer to people, right? And then singular action says, I'm part of the group. I'm part of the group. In yeshiva, we're part of the yeshiva. If we're all together, there's much more of a kol Torah. If we're not all together, there's less of a kol Torah. So these are the things we should say to ourselves in these few days that we have left till Kabbalah Torah. It's Mamish shows you Megbal starting right tonight, right? And Shabbos is the last day of the Shlosh Megbal, right? Am I preparing myself? Do I want to really connect with Rebbe Shalom in this way? Kabbalah Torah, right? And it's Pashut that we're not only celebrating what happened once a Matan Torah Seinu, it's the time that Hashem is giving us the Torah. My connection to the Torah is now. And the minute it comes to the Arizal to step a whole night, the Arizal says, first of all, the tikkun because we didn't step the night that day, but it shows us our real connection. It shows that we're really connected to Hashem. I'm ready to stand. We'll step a whole night doesn't mean I just step a whole night and hang out, right? To try and learn that night. We think it's a whole night. It's not such a long night, right? We won't start learning probably till 10:30, 11 o'clock till you finish Marv and the Suda. So it's already 10 o'clock, 10:30. And we're going to daven 4:30 in the morning. We're davening already. So it's not such a long night, right? It's from 11 o'clock to 4 o'clock. It's 5 hours. Not such a long time. But when I show everybody, I really mean business. How do we say that why does the year begin with Yom Kippur and end with Shmooze? So it should start with Shmooze, Kabbalah Torah. Then Yom Kippur needs all the preparation. Why is it backwards? So I'm saying that because Yom Kippur, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to become a different person. When I'm ready to change, at the end of that year, if I'm changing, I can do Kabbalah Torah. So those of us who try to use the year the right way, those of us who really tried to connect to the branch the right way, now we're ready to be Kabbalah Torah and Shavuos night. And if we didn't try, so our readiness is diminished. And each one of us has to say, am I really ready? Am I ready to really accept the Torah? To say, Hashem, give me the beautiful matana. Right? It's a beautiful matana. I gave you a beautiful present. We appreciate it. We realize it. We have to make the commitment in these 3 days now that's coming up. The time of preparation, to realize that the Hashem gave us a beautiful Torah, and we should be growing for it. I was in the States and I forgot who I was speaking to about the parents sometimes objections to learn, but parents told me a few times, and I've heard this, and it's made my career as a mechanech. Parents don't always understand what somebody does in yeshiva, what kids do in yeshiva. But most people, all Talmidim who took their learning seriously, parents ended up saying, these are my best kids. These are my best kids. Because you took your learning seriously, you become the kind of person you're supposed to become. And you have to decide. And if you didn't decide yet, by the end of the year, remember it's the end of the year, right? So we're finishing in less than 2 weeks, at the end of the year. You have to ask yourself, did I accomplish what I want to accomplish? And the test of what you want to accomplish will be Moshe Shabbos, Shavuos night. That'll be the test. Can I put in a couple of hours? Can I try my best? Can I sit down and learn with Chavrusa? Can I try my best? Shavuos night's the test. Okay, I can't speak about let's go. Let's right. The year's over. The year is over already. Shavuos night is the test if the year was worth anything to me or to you. And if we can just pass the test on Shavuos night and say, really, I was able to connect to the Torah and I learned a little bit more than I would have learned, then you were successful. And if you did do that, and just hanging out and just schmoozing and eating watermelon, whatever else we serve, rather or cheesecake, I don't have cheesecake in that. If your whole Shavuos is the cheesecake, you missed the point. And Hashem should give us the insight and the feeling and the direction to use the Shavuos to complete our year the way it's supposed to go. And the Mirza Hashem, when we do it properly, it says the Farish and the Mishnah Berurah, that somebody who uses Shavuos night properly is guaranteed for a good year. Okay, I don't know if I ever did Shavuos night properly. So let's try to do it properly. Let's try to exert ourselves a little bit, push ourselves a little bit, and try to makabel the Torah. And the Kabbalah Torah doesn't mean Kabbalah Torah. It's like the Nazir B'Darim. I'm doing something real. It's a real Kabbalah Torah. I'm doing something. I'm actively doing it. I'm going to really sit. I'm not going to talk about learning. I'm not going to talk about doing it. I'm going to sit and push myself a little bit more than I ever pushed myself before. A little bit more. I'm not going to be Reb Chaim overnight, but I want to be a little bit more better than I was. A little bit more than I was. A little more committed than I was. Each one of us can do that. And if we try to do that at least a little bit, we'll have tremendous siyata d'shmaya. Hashem should help us get to that point. And the Mirza Hashem, when he sees that we really want to do it, we'll have more siyata d'shmaya than we can imagine. But we have to put in the effort. He has to see that we're really trying. If you see that we're trying, it'll go way beyond anything we can imagine. But if we don't try, if I'm not going to try, nobody's going to try for me. Hashem should give us the feeling and the trying and the insight to do it. And I guarantee if we do that, we'll get there.